Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing a series review of the Boyfriend Project series by Farrah Roshan. This is a romance companion novel series, which y'all know I love. And today we're going to talk about all three of the books, the first one being The Boyfriend Project. I enjoyed this one the most and gave it the highest rating. The second book in the series is called The Dating Playbook, and then the final book is called The Hookup Plan, and that comes out on August 2nd. The series overall is about three women who become close friends after a dating fiasco, and then each book follows one of them more closely. So in the first book, The Dating Project, we are following Samaya. She is quickly rising through the ranks of her tech company while also working on a personal project, this app that she is developing. At the time that we start this book, she is dating this guy, and it turns out that he's also dating this other woman, and she finds that out because this woman is live tweeting the date that they're currently on. It just so happens that they're at a restaurant close to her place. She decides she's gonna pop up, and while she's there, a third woman shows up. Naturally, all three of them go off on him. This video of the interaction ends up going viral, and then the three of them become really good friends. If you are someone who really enjoys friendship in your romance, then I definitely recommend this series, as well as people who enjoy workplace romance. All of them are somewhat of a workplace romance, but in different contexts. This one especially is heavy on the workplace romance, enough that I would say it's comparable to Take a Hint, Danny Brown. So if that's something that you really like, I highly recommend. So like I said, I ended up enjoying this one the most. I rated it 4 stars, and honestly, when I started reading it, I was worried that I was not going to like it. I did not like the beginning of it. I really struggled with Samaya as a character because she was blaming herself for things that she had no control over, like the fact that this dude was 3-timing them. She was blaming herself, calling herself stupid and all this other shit. I'm really not a fan of the whole self-doubt thing, especially when it comes to other people's actions and things that you have no control over. So I really struggled with that. However, she did grow on me in the end, and Daniel I loved from page 1. I absolutely loved him. He is fantastic. There was one issue that I had with him, but he definitely made up for it at the end, so all was forgiven. This is one that I would definitely reread, and there's really not much that I can say without spoiling anything. So if you have not yet read book 1 in this series, The Boyfriend Project, but would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. Okay, so I've already talked a little bit about my feelings about Daniel and Samaya, but I'm going to get a little bit more into detail about that, starting off with my dislikes for this series. Like I said, I really disliked Samaya at the beginning because she was blaming herself for things that she literally had no control over, and I can understand that everyone deals with a little bit of self-doubt. However, you gotta learn to accept what you control and let go of what you can't, and I felt like it took her a minute to learn that lesson. It was also really weird to me that she would say like, oh, she doesn't have time to make friends, but she was taking the time to date. I don't know, I feel like it's basically the same effort. You still have to get to know someone. I feel like that could have easily been a change that she made. She also just let the whole situation with Craig, the guy that was cheating on all of them, just have too big an impact on her life. And I say this a lot. Perhaps I'm a heartless bitch, but I just can't justify spending so much time thinking about or dwelling on someone who made it clear that they didn't give a fuck about me. And I totally understand everybody handles things differently. That's just my opinion. But eventually she got over all of it, and I ended up liking her as a character. Another dislike that I had was one of Samaya's coworkers, Kaylee Miller, this random white bitch in her office who keeps trying to steal Samaya's ideas and pass them off as her own. The scene where Samaya finally dragged that bitch for filth, it was fucking glorious. I was so proud of her. Absolutely loved it. To other people, this probably wouldn't be a dislike, but there's one scene where Samaya and Daniel are like making out in a conference room, and she's straddling his lap, and it was like after hours, but also this conference room I'm pretty sure was completely glass, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing that y'all could possibly do right now. Like, can we not? And lastly, while I absolutely loved Daniel and learning more about his story, especially with him being an undercover agent, it just really irritated me that he was basically the reason for the third act breakup. I hate third act breakups to begin with. So the fact that I saw it coming and I was like, oh my god, please just do the right thing, and he didn't, I was annoyed. On top of that, he's starting to feel like he's having a hard time separating his job from his personal feelings for Samaya. And so they have plans and he cancels on her, and then because she didn't respond a certain way he got mad about it. And it's like, bro, you did this to yourself. Like, can we not, like, can we just skip the bullshit and get to the good part? Like, come on, let's do without all the drama. As far as my likes, as I mentioned, I really love Daniel. I really felt that the chemistry between the two of them was believable. I was rooting for it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't cringy, it wasn't insta-lovey. I just absolutely was invested in their relationship. I also mentioned that I really enjoyed the friendship between Samaya and the two other girls, Taylor and London. That continues throughout the rest of the series. Seeing the three of them together is always one of my favorite parts in the series. And because there was a third act breakup, there was also a grand gesture, and I thought it was super sweet and super cute. Daniel did what he needed to do. There's also a part where Samaya and her team are just like working really hard for an entire week, and so every day Daniel sends them lunch, and I thought that was so cute. I loved it. Now moving on to the second book in the series. This one is called The Dating Playbook. This one follows Taylor, who is the fitness instructor that we meet in the first book. I believe she was she on the date with Craig and was tweeting it, or was that London? I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember. In this one, Taylor is having some financial trouble. She does own her business, Tailored Conditioning, where she helps people with their fitness and meal planning and making healthy lifestyle changes. While her company is doing okay, she keeps missing out on opportunities because she does not have a college degree. So she ends up having an opportunity to get out of debt when she meets this former NFL player who wants to hire her as his personal trainer because he wants to make his way back into the league after an injury. So like I said, again, it is somewhat of a workplace romance because working together is how the couple meets. It's just in a different setting. If you like sports romances, this one might be for you. It is very much that forced proximity, angst, longing, and all of that. And fake dating. So I know that's a super popular trope. If you like fake dating, you'll probably like this one as well. I ended up rating this book 3 stars. I think it probably could have been a 4 if I did like the love interest, but because I didn't, I just really didn't care about the romance, which really sucks when you're reading a romance. So I would still recommend this to others. For me, it just didn't work out. If you have not yet read book 2, The Dating Playbook, but would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. Starting off with my dislikes again, as I already mentioned, Jamar. I did not like him. He's a former NFL player. He's 25, I think, which is still kind of young, sure, but there were certain things that I just was constantly questioning while reading this book. I think he's incredibly immature, and I just have a hard time believing that you've been an athlete all through high school, all through college, made it to the big leagues, and you don't know that you need to eat a healthy, balanced meal in addition to exercising. Like, you can't not know that at this point. Also, you are a grown-ass man refusing to eat your vegetables like you're a fucking toddler. I'm sorry, if at any point I can say that my baby brother does something better than you, it's a problem. And then he literally has the dumbest logic. His injury, the reason that he didn't make it in the league, starts bothering him again, and he doesn't tell Taylor, his personal trainer. And he's like, well, if I tell her, she's gonna stop training with me, so I won't make it back into the league. Sir, you also won't make it back into the league if you can no longer fucking walk. Common sense, where is it? As I mentioned with Samaya, I have an issue with people who blame themselves for things that they have no control over. So he does have a friend who had died, and he blames himself for that person's death. They were on a motorcycle and they got hit by a car because they were on their way to him. And because they were on their way to him, he feels like he's responsible. And like, yeah, he did some shitty things, but like that particular but that accident was not his fault, and he's been blaming himself for this for so long. I get it, but at the same time, it's not your fault. There's literally nothing that you could have done. There was nothing you could do to prevent it from happening. And just because I didn't like him, anytime that he said something that was supposed to be sexy, I physically cringed. It just didn't work out for me. While I absolutely love Taylor, she did also piss me off at one point because she knew that she needed help, and she just refused to get it. So Taylor has a learning disorder, and she's suspected this for a very long time, but she refused to get an official diagnosis, and it's the reason that she was afraid to go back to school. But instead of getting help and finding out what her options were, she just sort of kept trying to dodge it and get around it. Part of the way that she did that was taking Jamar on as a client instead of going and getting the degree that she knows that eventually she will need as a fitness and nutrition instructor. So I could understand her hesitancy a little bit more, because she also had like pressure from her family. She felt like the black sheep because she didn't go to college and all of these things, but she had never explained to her family that she thought she may have a learning disorder or gotten an official diagnosis. So as far as the learning disorder rep, I personally did not see anything wrong with it. But I don't have a learning disorder, so I'm not sure if there were any issues there. The way that it gets addressed is that Jamar's best friend also had a learning disorder. He very kindly broaches the topic with her and says, I noticed that you do these things that my friend used to do. And he actually helps her practice for taking her entrance exam to get into college and everything. So hopefully that is good representation there. Even though I didn't like Jamar, I did like the build-up to their relationship. I like slow burn, so I didn't mind it. I just didn't like him. Honestly, that is my one complaint. I just didn't like him. If I had liked him, this probably could have been my favorite of the three, but he just really ruined it for me. And moving on to the final book in the series, we have the Hookup Plan. This one is about London Kelly, who is a pediatric surgeon. At her high school reunion, she reunites with her arch nemesis after 15 years. They hook up. She thinks it's gonna be a one-time thing and she never has to see him again. And then she goes into the hospital Monday morning and surprise, surprise, look who's there. So again, somewhat of a workplace romance, again with the forced proximity. This one very much is enemies to lovers, which is my favorite trope. However, I gave this one a 3.5. I didn't like the love interest in this one at first either. He did eventually grow on me. However, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw my updates. This man didn't grovel enough for me. He could have done better. He needed to do more. Overall, I did enjoy it. Would I ever read it again? I don't know, because he really pissed me off. But again, this was my second favorite in the series, and London is my favorite main character in the entire series. So if you've read the first two books and are contemplating this one, I would still recommend moving on, because I did still enjoy this one. This final book does come out on August 2nd, so if you have not yet read the Hookup Plan but would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. Starting off with my dislikes, again, Drew, the love interest. He used to be a hedge fund manager, and now he works for this company that basically helps hospitals. He like comes in and audits them and makes recommendations so that they can improve their financial standing and get proper care to people. I wanted to like him, I really did. However, from the second he was on page, he was being a dick to London. He like keeps bringing up the fact that they were co-valedictorians, that they've always been competitors, and da-da-da-da. And I really wasn't feeling it. Like, he was just excessively rude to her for no reason. And then we get to his POV and he's like, oh, I've been in love with her for 15 years. And it was giving, I'm mean to you because I like you type shit. And I don't like that. Also, it's been 15 years, bro. Like, say what the fuck you gotta say and move on. Like, he just irked me in every way possible. I also didn't like that he purposely withheld information from her. He knew that she worked at the hospital that he was going to be working with and had plenty of opportunities to tell her, but still didn't. Even after they slept together, even after she made it clear that the only reason she was sleeping with him is because she wouldn't have to see him again. She like very explicitly makes a statement about not sleeping with coworkers because she doesn't want to have to pass that person in the hallways. And even then, he doesn't tell her. And what pissed me off even more is that he acknowledges the fact that he had ample time to tell her and that she was going to be pissed, and he knew it was wrong over and over again and still didn't do it. So with all of that, yes, he does start to regain her trust eventually, but I just feel that he didn't do enough. And there were certain things where he did do nice things, and I was like, this should have been a part of the groveling, not after she already started to trust you again, because I would have liked you so much more if you had done these things then. Because he should have had to do those things, because London deserves better. While it did take a really long time, I eventually started to like him, probably around the 60% mark, which frankly is a little too deep in. I wish that he had done better earlier on so that I could have enjoyed the story earlier on. Another person that I really don't like in this is London's father, Kenneth. We see him a couple of times, and frankly the relationship that she has with him has affected a lot of aspects of her life, and all of that comes up. So dealing with that sort of childhood trauma and parental expectations was also discussed in here, and I really enjoyed that. As far as things that I did like, as per usual, I enjoy seeing London, Samaya, and Taylor together, and I felt like the ending was very fitting. That it was nice to see all of them together in the place where the viral showdown had happened with their new significant others, and happy. I really enjoyed that. I really like that London decided to reconnect with her younger siblings. As an older sister who has lots of siblings, I understand that it can be hard to balance career and personal life and family and all of that. So I just really connected with London overall, and I think that's why she's one of my favorite characters. I really resonated with a lot of parts of her story. Also, in the end, Samaya and Daniel get engaged, and while I'm happy about that, I felt like a lot of time hadn't passed between the 3 books, so maybe it's just me. Is it too soon? I don't know, but we love a happily ever after, so there it is. So overall, I did enjoy this series. At the end of the Hookup Plan, it said that she has another book coming out in summer of 2023, so I will be excited to see what that's about, if it'll be another start to a series. I kind of hope so. I really love companion novels. But let me know if you have read any of the books in the Boyfriend Project series, or if you are planning to. If you have, which one is your favorite? Which main character is your favorite? Which love interest is your favorite? Let me know all the things. Otherwise, that is all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.